Today I'm sharing 10 easy pantry recipes that saves me time and money. Maybe it will save you some too. Hello friends, I need to restock my pantry. So I thought that I would show you guys how I restock some of the items that we use on a day-to-day basis. I'm using this vacuum jar sealer for some of my preps, but this is not needed for any of the preps that we're doing today. So one of the first things that I'm going to be restocking my pantry with is peanut butter. Did you know that you can make your own peanut butter if you have a food processor? Just one 16-ounce dry roasted bottle of peanuts is all you need, and that will make you 1 pint of peanut butter. And this will last for 3 months in your refrigerator if kept in an airtight container. The next thing on the list is I need to make some brown sugar. And did you know that you can just make your own brown sugar with just sugar and some unsulfured molasses? Yep, it's that easy. And I used to do all this by hand and with a standing mixer. You don't even need one of these KitchenAids. I used to do it all the time. But KitchenAids do make things a lot easier, especially when it comes to making brown sugar. So all you do is you add, for every cup of sugar that you're using, you're just going to use 1 tablespoon of molasses and mix it together until there's no more big chunks inside of it. That's it. It's that easy. And the taste of homemade brown sugar surpasses anything that you'll ever buy in the store. I promise you. Ever since I've been making my own, I've never bought any brown sugar from the store ever again. Now after it's finished getting all well incorporated, you just put it in an airtight container. And I'm just using this canister that is airtight, and this lasts me well over 6 months. But you can also, I have also put it in baggies and squeezed out all the air, and that has worked just fine as well. Next up is the coffee creamer. Now I use some sweetened condensed milk with equal parts of half and half. Or if you want it creamier, you can use equal parts of the heavy whipping cream. Either way, it's that easy. You just mix these two together, about equal amounts, and that's it. You shake it up and use it exactly like you would use it as any other coffee creamer. This will last about 2 weeks in the fridge, and you can add anything you want to this coffee creamer as well, like maple syrup, honey, cinnamon, vanilla, and make this taste like your favorite creamer from the grocery store. Okay, up next we have brownies, and these are just not any brownies, but they are friendship brownies out of the Heart and Soul Old Church Cookbook. These brownies are super delicious. We have tried these several different times and they're great. I love old church cookbooks because they seem to have some of the best recipes ever. So for this recipe, you can just use your quart jars and just layer all the ingredients in there, and it fits perfectly. And you can add nuts if you'd like, or omit the nuts, but it's very simple ingredients, just flour, brown sugar, regular sugar, salt, baking powder, and cocoa. And then you put your chocolate chips and or your walnuts in there. Normally I would just store these with just the lid and the ring on here, but today, because I'm going to be using the vacuum sealer, I'm going to use the vacuum sealer on these, but you can store these just like this. In this video, I'm going to be using the Saker vacuum sealer for jars, and I'm not storing this long term. This is a short term thing, so I'm not using any oxygen absorbers or anything like that. I'm just getting all the air out so the ingredients will stay nice and fresh. But these will be used within probably the month, so I'm not worried about it going bad or anything like that. So I wanted to let it go so you guys could see how it worked. So the Smart Auto model, the Sacred Plus electric mason jar vacuum sealer, has 3 modes, which are 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and auto mode. And there's no need to manually control the time. So it's more free hands and easy to operate. So this contains 2 sizes of mouth seals for your large mouth and for your wide mouth and your regular size jars. So this is my first time using this contraption. I do see myself using it a lot more here in the future. I like the idea of being able to vacuum seal a lot of dry goods this way. Now finishing this up, I'm just going to put a how to prepare these brownies sticker on the top and call it good. Okay, so the next book we're going to be using is The Joy of Cooking by Irma S. Rombauer and Marion Rombauer, I think it was. Now the recipe that I'm going to be using is the Buttermilk Biscuits, and we're going to put this in a quart-sized jar because I've made these like 4 different times and these are absolutely delicious. These taste like something that my grandma made back in the day. They were so light and fluffy, nothing like the Jiffy box or anything like that. I also made a triple batch of this and put it in, and I'm just going to keep it in my fridge so I can just pull it out anytime that I want to make some really quick buttermilk biscuits. Saves me time, energy of having to pull everything out and mix everything up and everything like that. So mixing up my own mixes, not only I know what goes in them and I know that there's nothing bad in them, it gives me peace of mind. Yeah, some of the stuff that you buy from the store might be faster, but have you seen the ingredient list on those things? Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I am making my own mixes for now on. After I started reading a lot of the labels, it blows my mind to see so many toxic ingredients in just our basic, everyday mixes that people use to feed their family every day. It's kind of scary. Making your mixes homemade, really not hard, and you don't have to roll out the dough. I don't never roll out the dough. The only thing that I do is after I mix it together, I pat it on a floured surface and flatten it out with my hands a little bit, and then just start using a jar to cut them. And I don't have a biscuit cutter, so I just use a jar or a cup or something like that. Making your own pancake and waffle mix is a lot easier than people would think, and making it at home does save a bit of money as well. Now this recipe it calls for buttermilk, but you don't have to have buttermilk for this recipe. You could just have regular milk and it works just fine. And I made this in a bulk so that I would have some on hand. But I ended up using this whole container with some freezer breakfast preps because I just needed to get some food in the freezer. And if you'd like to see everything that I made with this mix, with this waffle pancake mix, you can stay tuned and I will put it in at the end of this video. But just to give you a preview, this made so much food with the exception of that cheesy bread over there. This pancake mix did not come from that. But it did make some strawberry waffles. I did make some sausage, egg, and cheese waffles. I made some sausage, egg, and cheese muffins and some sausage, egg, onion, and potato muffins. And let's not forget about these pancake chocolate chip bars. And I also made some cream cheese muffins. Now this next recipe is a ranch seasoning, and it calls for buttermilk, parsley, chives, garlic powder, onion powder, dried dill, salt, sugar, and black pepper. Now I didn't have the amount to triple this recipe like I normally do, so I only had enough for like a packet, but that's fine because I ran out of buttermilk at this point, buttermilk powder, but that's okay. So some ways that you can use this is like just for ranch dipping sauce, a chimichurri ranch spread, French fries, pizza, chicken fajitas, chili, popcorn. Mix it in your ground beef for burgers. Put it on your mashed potatoes. Possibilities are endless. Now this next recipe is a taco recipe, taco seasoning recipe. And if you haven't made your own taco seasoning yet, you don't know what you're missing. Homemade tastes 10 times better than anything that you're gonna get from the store. So this is the way that I make my taco seasoning, and it tastes fantastic. So I use about a cup of chili powder, and then I use around about 3/4 of a cup of chipotle seasoning. And then I use, and it's the Southwestern chipotle seasoning. Then I use about 1/4 of a cup each of ground cumin, coriander, garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, and salt. Oh, and paprika too. So 2.5 to 3 tablespoons is equivalent to one of the packages that you would get at the store. So for every pound of meat that I use 2 to 3 tablespoons. Another way to flavor this up really nice is a lot of times I'll add in my tomato powder. That's really good too. And then I just, in the jar, I mean you could do this in a bowl, but this day I was just tired, so I just put it in the jar and I shook it up. Okay, so the next thing that I'm doing is I'm just prepping our bread, so that we'll have bread for the next day. And this bread recipe is on our channel. It's probably the easiest bread recipe that I just keep going back to over and over again because of how easy it is. Because all I have to do is just add water, yeast, and salt with some flour and let it set overnight. And in the morning, I heat up my oven and I put my dough into a Dutch oven on some parchment paper. Pop it in there for a half an hour with it being covered, and then uncovered for 10 minutes, and then it's done. Easiest bread. Okay, so we're gonna, when my oven is heated, I'm gonna put this in here. I'm not gonna do anything special to it. I'm just gonna plop it right down and pop it in the oven. Now a tip for making this bread turn out every time that you cook it is to cook it in a pan with a lid. Preferably a Dutch oven, but if you don't have a Dutch oven, any pan with a lid will work as long as it's oven safe. And you put the lid on it for 30 minutes. After the 30 minutes is up, you're going to take that lid off and you cook it again for an extra 10 to 15 minutes until that top of their bread gets nice and golden and crusty. At this point, your house is going to smell so amazing that you are going to be tempted to cut open this bread and eat some. But if you want that perfect bread, you need to let this bread rest for at least, a half an hour to an hour, so that way it can finish cooking and you will come out with this perfect, beautiful loaf of bread. Super soft on the inside, crunchy on the outside. So the first recipe is a sausage, egg, and cheese muffin. I'm gonna brown up some sausage, scramble up some eggs, and then I'm gonna mix all the wet ingredients into my pancake batter. Give it a quick mix, and then I'm going to add in the sausage and the eggs. Now I used about a pound of sausage and about 6 eggs for this batch, and I put it in these muffin tins and I cooked it at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. 30 minutes was good. Okay, so this one batch made 16 muffins, and these are so delicious. It smells delicious. So those were exceptionally delicious. So I decided, ooh, let's use the same recipe and make some waffles with it. Some sausage, egg, and cheese waffles. This recipe made 5 huge waffles, breakfast waffles, that would fill up anybody. I could only eat half of those. So the next one is a strawberry waffle. And these ones were exceptionally delicious as well. I made these for my mom because she really likes strawberry, and I had some strawberry. I still have some homemade strawberry jam, so I just made the mix like I normally did, and then I put about a half of a cup of strawberry jam in there and just mixed it up and cooked it in the waffle iron just like I did everything else. And these made about 5, I think it was about 5 waffles. Okay, this next one is a sausage, egg, and potato muffin, pancake muffin, and these were so good, guys. And I wanted to add cheese to this, but I forgot somehow, but the cheese would have actually made this even more delicious. So I just took 1 potato, just a regular russet potato, and I rinsed it in some cold water, got all the starchiness out of it, and then I just chopped up an onion and put it in the mix as well. And then I put the rest of our sausage and our eggs inside of it and just gave it a quick mix. Now, these I cooked exactly the same way as the other muffins at 400 degrees for 30 minutes. And these turned out so delicious, just like the first ones. I think I like these even more. They would have been even better if I added the cheese, but I forgot. So the next recipe is a strawberry cream cheese that I'm going to be adding to the pancake mix. And all I'm doing here is putting the mix in and then adding I just cut in the cream cheese with my pastry cutter, and I added 2 eggs instead of 1, and then the strawberry jam to it, about a half of a cup of strawberry jam. And I just put it in the muffin tins just because I didn't know if it was gonna turn out very well or not. I just winged it and they turned out perfect. So for the very last recipe, I just used the remaining of what I had in the muffin, the strawberry cream cheese muffin batter, and added some chocolate chips, put it in a brownie pan, spreaded it all out, and I'm gonna make like little chocolate chip bars out of it. And these also were equally delicious. So that's what I got. I got 10 huge waffles, and we got 40 muffins out of that one batch. And plus we also got some extra, cream cheese chocolate chip bars. Feeling good. So now I'm just gonna put them all in a Ziploc freezer bag, and I'm going to put these into the freezer. So, and then when I pull them out, I'll just pull them out like the night before and warm them up for probably like a minute in the microwave or in the oven. Or you could actually break apart these waffles and put them in the toaster, and they'll get them nice and crispy. So that's all that I got for today, guys. I am going to be continuing with prepping our pantry and our freezer, so stay tuned for the next video. And if I haven't said it already, thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it. If you haven't liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe. And I hope that everybody has a blessed day. And remember, I will put all of the recipes in the description box for everybody else to, if anybody's interested in any of these recipes at all.